We went to do your alignment and we found that your inner and outer tire rods are bad all the way around. We can't do an alignment on bad parts. It'll cost you about $1,300 to do here.
r/prorevenge. What is up, guys? Mr. Reddit here, back with another episode of Pro Revenge Stories. r/prorevenge is one of my favorite subreddits, and I really enjoyed making this. So kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. Our first story we'll be reading today: illegally park and block driveways in our neighborhood and do it consistently while throwing a party? Expect what's coming. From user Want to Avoid Drama. And after that, we'll be looking at Try to Squeeze Money Out of Me? I'll Squeeze Back by user Are You Lit 420. And if you're an author who would like us to read your stories, then link your stories in the comments and I'll come check them out. And welcome to the newest members of the Re-Army: Daughter of Darkness, Maggie the Magician, and Coco. And if you're new, join the Re-Army by subscribing for new stories from Reddit every single day. Illegally park and block driveways in our neighborhood and do it consistently while throwing a party? Expect what's coming. 2 years ago, a new family moved into our quiet little neighborhood and began their reign of terror. We've lived here for over 20 years in this neighborhood, and except for these past 2 years, it's been wonderful. I love our neighbors, except this family. This family just sucks. I'm not even sure where to begin. They are loud, they are dirty, they are obnoxious. Their dog barks at all hours. They constantly yell at each other. They throw parties well into the night. They steal my older neighbor's paper. They actually trained their Rottweiler to fetch the neighbor's paper. Impressive, but wrong. They throw their dog's poo into other yards. So much. They even cut my 80-something-year-old neighbor's prized roses for themselves. Who does that? There are about 100 issues I could write about and how we've all dealt with them, but this past weekend was my own glorious take on it all. Oh, and yes, we tried talking to them. We tried inviting them over. We've tried nice things for them, and all we've expected is that they act like decent neighbors. That's never happened. In our neighborhood, parking is scarce. Most of these homes are classic 1950s with a single-lane driveway, and parking is limited even on the streets. There's a busy road a few blocks away that has a great nightlife and popular restaurants, which means that at times, especially on the weekends, the street can fill up. This family has 4 drivers and 5 vehicles, with only enough space for 2 in their driveway at a time. Constantly, they would park and leave their vehicles for days, and sometimes weeks, in front of others' homes. Sometimes leaving their driveway empty for no reason, with all of their cars parked out on the road. I kind of believe that in itself isn't that big of a deal, except for how and when they would do it. They were intentional about it all, would do so to try and cause the most grief with everyone, and this went on for months. A complete forget you to everyone. After months of this, and no one retaliating or giving them the satisfaction of how upset we all are, they started parking deliberately in ways to make it difficult to get out of our driveways. I had to have my husband come out most mornings to guide me so I wouldn't hit their cars as I backed out of my own driveway. There were also times where they squeezed my neighbor's car on the street to where they couldn't get out. Finally, an older retired neighbor goes down to city police station and inquires about what to do. They found a code or law stating that so much space from the sides of driveways and yada 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 is required. So we come home one night to freshly painted yellow curbs outlining every house surrounding this one. A few weeks ago, my husband's car breaks down and he has to get towed. On his way back, he starts talking with a tow truck driver about these jerk neighbors and their cars. He tells my husband that if these cars are parking illegally, we should call the non-emergency line, and if they receive a ticket, to call him and he can tow them at owner's expense. It's the law. My husband and him keep talking and even meet up for beer a few nights later. They are big fans of the Blazers. Rip City. He's a real good guy. About a month ago, we met a couple in our fair city, and it just so happens that the husband is an officer. We were already planning on meeting that Friday night, and when we met, I brought up the jerk neighbors and their parking. He says that he'll drive through on his shift if he gets time, and if he sees them parked in the yellow, he has no problem ticketing them. Great. He also gets some of his friends to check it out when they have time too. Fantastic. We've been calling almost daily at this point about their cars parked illegally, but nothing was happening. That Saturday night, he sends me a text saying he ticketed 3 cars. I missed that text, so no tow truck, but I kind of figured with the 3 tickets they'd get the idea. They didn't. Off and on all week it was the same. This past Saturday, the teenage son throws a party and everyone, I mean every single one of their guests and them, parked in the yellow of someone's driveway or blocked someone out altogether. Obviously, the little jerk told all of his friends to block our driveways or block our cars in. I sent a text to our officer friend who told me to call the non-emergency line and he'd be the one to look into it. But I'm scheming bigger. I call up the tow truck driver and tell him that there are at least 15 cars parked illegally and all are about to receive parking tickets for blocking driveways and cars. I let him know we are friends with an officer and he and I scheme a little further. We get a solid plan. I call our officer friend back and tell him our plan, and I also mention that the party is like going to be filled with underage drinkers. Now, I hate busting parties, but I make exceptions for little jerks and especially little underage drinking and driving jerks. He and I finalized the plan. Here's how it all went down. Officer and 3 of his partners go through the neighborhood, citing all of the cars. Meanwhile, our tow truck driver friend has assembled a group of drivers in the nearby grocery store parking lot. My husband and I make an anonymous call about a possible underage party. The tow truck drivers start at the ends of our street, grabbing the cars as quickly as possible. A few alarms here and there, but no way could they hear it in the party. When they approach the house, my husband makes an anonymous call about an underage party in our neighborhood. Conveniently, our officer just so happens to still be in the neighborhood, so he and his partner go over to the house to check on it. As they knock on the door, lights go out, music shuts off, and the house goes quiet. At this moment, the tow trucks come in and are now towing the remaining 5 cars right from in front of their home. I just wish I could see the kids' faces inside as they are all having a dilemma about what to do. Do they go out and bust themselves for underage drinking and try to stop their cars from being towed? Or do they just sit and bite the bullet and watch $250 go down the drain? On Sunday, they had 3 cars returned from being towed, and all 3 are parked just shy of the yellow lines. I'll call this a win. My husband and a couple of neighbors also spent Sunday putting up some new cameras. They were all very giddy and loud about it all. Something about, all the lights and police on Saturday made them nervous. Next up we've got, try to squeeze money out of me? I'll squeeze back. This is the story of how I got screwed over by a Big O Tires store and got my revenge. Sorry for bad formatting, I'm on mobile. I made this account to tell this story. Too long didn't read at the bottom. Back in July, around 8,000 miles ago, I took my Ford Flex, which was in desperate need of some tread, to get new tires. I was a little low on money, so I took it to Big O Tires because I had a credit card for the franchise from buying tires there before. Everyone around will tell you that anytime you bring your car in, they will inevitably find some work that needs to be done to try and get more money out of you. I wish I had known this sooner. I went in and the manager was the one to help me price the tires and find the right ones for me. My Flex has 19-inch rims on it, so the tires that go on them are expensive, but I was paying on a card, so I didn't care. I find the tires I wanted and opted for a good tire that would last me at least 60,000 miles. I ask her to put the tires on and do an alignment after they get them fitted. Then I go sit down in the waiting area and wait for the job to be complete. I'm sitting in the waiting area when a greasy mechanic comes out of the shop and starts looking around. Greasy mechanic.
Who's got the Ford Flex?
I do.
We went to do your alignment, and we found that your inner and outer tire rods are bad all the way around, and you need new rear lateral arms. It'll cost you about $1,300 to do here, but we can do it. You want us to get on that?
My jaw dropped. No.
Well, we can't do an alignment on bad parts.
Okay, then just give me the keys, I guess. As I'm signing the final paperwork, the manager is stressing to me that the bad parts I'm driving on could destroy my new tires. My friend, who was actually working there at the time, pulled me aside and told me that they looked like they were wearing down, but they didn't need to be replaced yet. So I left the store. Fast forward about 8,000 miles later. It's now April. The inside of my tires on the rear had been worn down completely smooth. The front tires only had about half the tread life remaining, and I'm still making payments on the tires. When I'm driving down the road, there's a steady noise coming from the tires from being so unevenly worn down. It was around this time I had finally gotten money together to fix my bad parts. So I go to my mechanic, who is honest and had never tried to pull the wool over my eyes and will give me a decent price. I tell him what the mechanic and manager at Big O Tires told me was wrong with it and tell him to get it fixed and hand him the keys. About 3 hours later, he calls me back. Hey, I'm looking at your car. The only thing that was wrong with it was you had a stuck right rear brake caliper. So everything else was fine? Yeah, everything to do with your suspension was in perfect shape. No play in the tie rods. It looks like you just need an alignment pretty badly. Okay, thank you. Will you put a new caliper on there for me? Yeah, I'm on it. If I was you, I'd take it down to the dealership. They do all my alignments, and they aren't going to pull any bullcrap on you like that. Okay, thanks. After hearing that my parts were fine and my tires could have been saved by a simple alignment, I was livid. So I called up Big O, and the conversation was pretty short. I'm not going to post the conversation, but to sum it up, she told me that she wasn't trying to say my mechanic was lying, but that he doesn't have a laser rack or the proper equipment to know if those parts are bad. She then goes on to explain in great detail why my parts were bad and try to make me feel stupid. She wanted me to have him replace all those parts and bring it in for an alignment. I told her I'd see what dealership had to say about it. When I pulled up to the dealership, I walked in and told them what happened and what was supposedly bad with my car, and they did my alignment with no fuss and cheaper. So the next day after I got home from work, I pulled in the driveway of my house and looked at my passenger seat where my ticket was for the alignment I had gotten done. Something just took me over, and I put my car into reverse, pulled out of my driveway, and started heading to the Big O. I called my mom on the way because she knew what I was going through and how stressful it was for me, and I told her I was about to make a show in front of their customers and see where I can make things go from there. She was excited and wanted to listen in, so I left her on the phone with my Bluetooth headphones around my neck where she could hear everything. As I walked into the store, I was feeling nervous, but just shoved it all to the side when I saw how many customers were there. At least 7 people in the store looking at tires or waiting for their cars to get done. I walked up to the front desk and waited patiently for the manager to get done talking with another customer. Front desk employee. Can I help you? I ignored her and just looked at the manager as she finished up. Hi, are you the manager?
Yes, I am.
Hi, I believe I spoke with you on the phone a day or two ago. I wanted to speak to you in regards to the work done to my vehicle.
Okay, what's your name?
I tell her my name, and her employee starts to pull up my file. As she's looking me up, I start telling my story, and I tell it loud enough for all the customers in the store to hear. Well, when I came in here, I was refused an alignment because of my bad parts.
We can't do an alignment on bad parts.
Let me finish, okay? Well, they told me I needed to pay them $1,300 before they would do my alignment because of bad parts. And $1,300 is a lot of money, so I just took my car home so I could start saving up money for the repairs I thought I needed. Eventually, when I was feeling like I could afford it, I took it to my mechanic, who told me the parts were fine. You told me he didn't have the right equipment, so I took it to the dealership, who has the same rack as you. They did my alignment and told me my parts were fine. Showed her my alignment paperwork. The sheet shows the before and after of an alignment, and my rear left tire was cambered out negative 2.3 degrees. She was trying to tell me before my tires were worn so bad on the inside because the parts were bad, but it was really just an alignment issue.
Let me go talk to my mechanic.
She walks into the shop for about 10 minutes, and I see them walk through the bay doors to go out and look at my tires. She comes back inside and tells me how sorry she is and comes up with the excuse that there was 2 Ford Flexes in the shop that day, and the mechanic that was there that day got the tickets mixed up and my Flex never even went on the rack. She then goes on to say she will replace 2 of my tires for free and refund me the $40 rack fee I was charged that day. I came back the next day for my 2 free tires and rack fee, feeling like I've won, but I'm still upset because the other 2 tires I was sporting only had about 50% tread left on them when they were supposed to last me way longer. I decided to write a review on Google for all to see. It was basically 3 paragraphs on everything you've just read. 1 week later, I received a phone call from Big O, but I was busy, so I let it go to voicemail. The voicemail was basically the manager saying that she was confused why I would leave such a review and asked me to call back and see what we can do to fix it. After I was free, I called her back. Hey, I missed a call?
Yes, I just seen your Google review this morning and my jaw dropped. I thought that everything was okay after we gave you 2 free tires and refunded your rack fee, and now you've left this review saying you'll never be back except for your free rotations while they last? What can we do for you to just take the review down?
I was upset because while I got 2 of my tires fixed, I'll have to end up replacing those other tires well before my new ones when they should have all been the same tread to begin with.
So, if I give you 2 more free tires, will you remove the review? We just don't want to have to deal with corporate, and if anyone reads that, it will lose us customers.
Yeah, sure. I'll remove it as soon as the tires are on my rims.
I'll have them here tomorrow then.
So I stop in and get 2 more free tires fitted on my vehicle. I couldn't stop signing the whole time I was signing the paperwork. The second manager even told me that because I had to come back in so much, that she was giving me a free oil change next time I come into the store. I edited my review to say that I had a bad experience, but the managers did what they could to make things right and changed it from 1 star to 3 stars. They asked me if I would still shop for my tires with them, and I told them I would, but you couldn't pay me to go buy tires there again. I took my win and my free oil change and walked right out of there.
Impressive. Now that's how you talk to a manager.
But Karen, he actually had a reason to talk to the manager.
And?
You don't. And congrats to our newest generals of the Ree. Dignified Bunny, Private Tree, ASMR Corn, Blade the Wolf Artist, and Easy Mo 9M. That's all for now, but don't be blue. I'll be back soon with more stories for you. Remember to listen to Mr. Reddit every night, so your dreams will be wonderful like you are and bright.